4 minutes to reply.
Minister, I firmly believe that the process involved in selecting the preferred options and the consultation process is significantly flawed, and I'll give you a couple of examples why. Firstly, I'd like to welcome the Dart Plus Maynooth-Dunboyne line. There's no doubt that this will transform the rail transport system for all of our community along that line. I would also like it known that there was not a single email or phone call or submission that I received in opposition to this. There is massive support for it. However, the benefits of the Dart line are certainly going to be significant, but like all major infrastructural problems, there will be a major impact on communities. Some will be significant and others less so. For a number of states along the new Dart line, the impacts will be hugely significant for communities, for families and for their homes. The most impactful will be the closure of the Coolmine level crossing and Irish Rail's preferred option of building a bridge between St Mocta's Estate and River Wood. Minister, I'll give you two examples. During my recent review of the documentation, I noticed that the options of going underneath the Coolmine crossing was ruled out because of the canal height. However, when I asked them to consider a lock system, I was really surprised to hear that this wasn't a proposal that was put forward by the consultants, and that if I put in a submission, it would be considered. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I just think, and I think the whole community is a wee bit puzzled that the consultants did not consider putting forward a drop lock system or a similar system that's used in canals across the world. So, and I think that's something that really needs to be looked at. Minister, another major issue is the consultation process itself. Can I acknowledge that Irish Rail have following strong representations from many people in the community, extended our deadline for the consultation process twice, and it's now extended until the 24th of October. However, we're in phase 3 of the COVID guidelines now for a number of weeks, and it looks very likely this will continue for some time beyond the 21st. It means that only those who are tech savvy can take part in this process. It means that the essential type of consultation process that would normally take place between Irish Rail, between TDs, between councillors and the communities, organising public meetings with large maps, with copies of the documentation, hard copies and the detailed plans. We can't overstate the importance and the ability to be able to physically look at a map and the plans and be able to call a person over and ask that person, what's this, where's this line go, where does this map, where does this road lead to, etc. It's important that we get this wonderful project developed and on stream as quickly as possible, Minister, but not at any cost. Once these preferred options are chosen, there is no way back except for the High Court for the people. So, Minister, I'm asking you on behalf of the hundreds of people, especially people who are not tech savvy, some of the older people and some people who are not, as I said, up to using Zoom or team meetings, who will be massively impacted by this, to ask Irish Rail to hold off until we can have those physical meetings and be able to look across the table at those who are proposing the project so that the community can ask those hard questions of the officials. Good morning.
Dr. Donnelly, I thank the Deputy for the opportunity to address this issue in the House this evening. And the short answer to this particular question is yes, that every option should be given due consideration and due to the level crossings on the new Dart Plus line to Maynooth. I'd like to start by taking the opportunity to upgrade the House generally on the progress of the Dart Plus programme. The programme for government commits to a fundamental change in the nature of transport in Ireland, and if we're serious about delivering the type of change we need, then we do need big transformative projects like Dart Plus. That's not to minimise people's concerns about possible impacts or dismiss their views about particular aspects, but it is to make a clear statement of policy support for Dart Plus, which I've heard the Deputy give, and I very much welcome that, and projects like it. I hope that support is shared by every member of this House, and I do believe it is. I think this project, people do want to see it built. For those who are unaware, Dart Plus will effectively double the capacity of the existing network. It will see the introduction of Dart level services on the Maynooth, Dunboyne, Northern and Kildare lines, providing a sustainable, reliable and frequent service across much of the Greater Dublin area. When people speak of wanting to see more people make the switch to more sustainable modes, then we have to see big projects like Dart Plus proceed. I was delighted to be able to launch the public consultation on Dart Plus over the summer, and I look forward to seeing the project progress over the lifetime of this government. As I said, I recognise that big projects like this can also have impacts that not everyone will welcome. And I absolutely recognise that the issue of level crossings can, in this instance, in this area, is very much one of those impacts that does have to be considered carefully. Among the documentation published as part of the public consultation progress is a preliminary options selection report. That report sets out in detail the approach taken when considering level crossings. At the very basic level, the general approach is to consider a long list of possible options and then, using multi-criteria analysis, sift through the various options to create a short list of preferred options for detailed consideration. So for each level crossing, the report details a range of options considered. For some level crossings, that can be up to 9 or 10 options set out, and the pros and cons of each are described. As I understand that during the public consultation process, some residents have suggested that there are options that were ruled out and should have been brought forward for detailed consideration. While I leave the detailed options analysis to the experts, I think it is clear that level crossings are a constraint to the introduction of the type of high-frequency train services we're looking for to introduce with Dart Plus. The reality is that if we were to keep the level crossings, the level of service frequency would be severely restricted, causing traffic difficulties in the local area. So I'd like to think we can all agree that the issues need to be tackled somehow, even if there may be disagreement on some of the detail of the how. This initial consultation process is scheduled to close later this month. It's been extended, as you say, Deputy. And Erin O'Dern will then consider submissions received and decide upon the preferred route. Obviously, during the statutory planning process, members of the public will again have an opportunity to make their voices heard. Next year, I expect to see government approval of the preliminary business case for what will be the largest ever investment in a railway network, and I look forward to the support of the House as we look to improve this important public service.
Thanks, Minister. Look, I suppose I'm a wee bit disappointed in that there isn't a further commitment to go back to Irish Rail and to ask them to hold off until that meeting can be held. I know we're not under normal circumstances, but I think it's important. This is such a major project that we can't get this wrong. Can I just mention a couple of things? One is that the Fingal County Development Plan included 2 local objective points, and I worked on that county development plan from 27 to 23. It was in 2014 or 2015 we started it. And it's preserved the existing pedestrian and vehicular right-of-way at Kilmine level crossing and prohibit any road bridge across the train line at the Canal and Riverwood Station Court. And some of the questions that are being asked by both myself and also by local people is, how do we encourage people to make public submissions to county development plans in good faith and tell them that their voice matters and that their voice is heard? How do we encourage councillors? And this applies also to strategic housing developments and other legislation that's being brought in that overrides the county development plans. How do we convince people to spend hours and hours of their time, days on county development plans when they can be simply overridden? And there's another issue, just very quickly, I'd like to raise, and I think it's about trying to create a level playing field for local communities against large organisations, whether they be state organisations or whether it be corporate organisations. The webinar was held by Irish Rail, by engineers and experts. They have the funding. They have a budget of 2.6 billion to hire the best minds in the country. What do the people have? They have absolutely nothing. They have their own resources. They have no expertise. They can't call an expertise unless they pay for it. And recently, again, as I say, in terms of the strategic housing development in Brady's, people spend upwards of thousands and thousands of euro to get professional help. And I'm asking, can we look at some system so that communities like those at Riverwood and St Moctus and those along that Dart rail line, including the likes of the strategic housing developments, can they get funding, or can some sort of system be put in place so they can get that professional help that the other side always have? They have deeper pockets than the people that they are, and these are huge, huge projects costing billions of euro.
Deputy, it is true what you say, that it's in looking at any project, your preference is to be able to sit down with the engineer, to have the maps out in front of you, to talk. The way public consultations increasingly done in this city and elsewhere around the country is that you allow close contact and you allow detailed debate. Unfortunately, in the current environment, that is not possible. I'd have to be honest, I'd be very wary about a lengthy delay in this. It's vital that the sort of services develop. We don't know how long the restrictions, COVID restrictions, are going to apply. If we were to put off the planning or consultation process until the end of that, that could have impact on a whole range of different projects. So I am nervous around that, but I understand the intention of where it's coming from. And you're right, as you say, there may be some people who don't have as easy access to webinars and so on. So I wonder, what do they have? One thing I'd have to say, in this particular project and this particular area, around the area around Coolmine, where you have this particular problem, it seems to be on one of the level crossings, where the proposal for a road bridge over the canal or over the crossing has serious potential consequences for local residents. And yourself, in raising this topic question here tonight, your three constituency colleagues haven't been shy, I'd have to say, in coming to me each in turn and saying that they have views on the matter. And I think maybe as public representatives at this time, it's when we can actually fill that role in a particular way, when it is possible for us to have access to the webinars and access to the sort of information. And if there are proposals, be that a new lock, as you suggested, or other options, and as I said in my own response initially, I don't think we should be ruling out options at this stage. We should be looking at all options. Well, maybe the public representatives, both councillors and TDs, in this particular instance, have a chance to represent their constituents, as you're doing tonight, and as your three colleagues have done already directly to me, and make that case, make it to Irish Mail, make it as part of the consultation process. I think that would be the most appropriate further help you could give.
Just on the last question, can we talk for professional help for local communities? Can we have an idea, or maybe a conversation around that?
I think that's a very good idea, and I hope Irish Rail might consider it as part of their consultation process here, which has to be done in very exceptional times.
Margaret Hockton, Tarna Keshtanesh, Egan, Tokta, Marco Kohasik.